Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
Welcome to Frogman Friday. I'm Ryan Birdman Parrott. Today, our badass guest is Andrew Crocker. His nickname is Andy. Really? He served 8 years as a U.S. Navy SEAL, exiting service as a petty officer first class. He joined the Kansas City Fire Department to continue his service in a different uniform. You can follow Andy on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Handles to follow after the show. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So let's kick right into it. So you get out of the service. Did you already have an idea that you wanted to be a firefighter right out of the gate? Or did you exit service and then kind of find yourself into it? Walk us through that path.
So I kind of knew there was that transition point after my last re-up, getting towards the end of the contract. I was at trade at, and I ended up talking to the command master chief. He was like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to try out for Damnick? Do you want to go back to the teams? What do you want to do? And at that point, kind of went up to my wife. We just had a kid. He was about 1. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? What can we do? What is this going to look like as a family for the years coming down? So we talked. After having a kid, my kind of attitude and mental state changed. Kicking down doors, as much as I miss it and love it, just probably was best to be left for the younger generation. So I talked to the command master chief, and he was like, all right, what do you want to do? Re-up or get out? And I was like, I think I want to get out. Well, he's like, all right, you better have a plan for me. So gave it a couple weeks, came back, and I was like, I think I want to be a fireman. At that point, he was like, all right, I got a couple fireman friends, a couple team guys that already left and were firemen locally in San Diego. And he turned in, he's like, you need to get your EMT. And he was like, what? Okay, I'm at trade at. What do you want me to do? He's like, we're going to sign you up. You're going to go get your EMT over at, I think it was Miramar Community College. So he actually sent me over. My journey started there. Got it done there. Finished up my enlistment. And we were like, all right, I'm going to put in for Kansas City Fire Department. Works a little bit different than other fire departments. Did an interview, got ranked. We moved out here, bought a house. And the hiring process got frozen in Kansas City. So once it got frozen, I started freaking out, going, oh man, what am I going to do? We had enough money saved up for about a year for me to not do anything, just kind of focus on the goal of becoming a firefighter. So I knew that I was high on the Kansas City fire list and that it might not happen. And there's an age limit in Kansas City, 30 years old. I'm 29. I got one shot at this. So I actually signed up for a Central Jackson County Fire Protection District, had a fire academy, an amazing fire academy. Paid with this out of my own pocket, got my fire 1 and 2, my hazmat operations and awareness, got those done. And sure enough, Kansas City gives me a phone call and goes, hey, we got a spot. We'll see you in about a month. I was like, huh, okay. But that first month, or that couple months, it was almost a year to the day by the time I got that Kansas City phone call. So I was starting to freak out. Money's started to dry up. It was hard. It was absolutely one of the hardest things that year, being away from my brothers, out here. This is where my wife's family is, not mine. Got interesting. It was hard getting out. That was probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
I mean, I can't imagine, you're getting on the cusp of where you said you're going to empty out your account. You've got a child. You had one child at the time?
We had one at the time, and then she got pregnant right before I got in the Kansas City Fire Academy. She actually gave birth during the last month of the Fire Academy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's getting right down to the wire.
Bro, it was hard. That was probably the darkest time in my life ever, getting out and being away from all those guys. So how old were you when you got in?
When I got in?
Yeah.
19.
Okay. So I was 19 too.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I ever knew was like high school sports team. And then the teams getting in and doing that. Getting out was rough, being that far away from everybody.
For sure.
And I'm terrible at staying in contact with people.
Oh,
So
I can attest. I can attest to that.
Oh. So I loved being out by her family, and I love Kansas City. This is one of the best cities ever. I mean, you got a small taste of it when you're here. It's an absolute blast. One of the best sports towns, great city, friendly environment. But man, when you don't know anyone, it's rough.
Yeah. Well, it's just hard to be, there's no accountability when you get out of the service and you don't have that Monday morning muster and you're connecting with the brothers and you're seeing them every single day and on and off the job. And then it's just like done. And then of course, when you're moved, you're disassociated completely. So it's even harder. And then you're trying to figure out how you already had a plan, but you're now being stalled on getting to that plan. So that's insane. So, okay, you got into the fire service, become a firefighter for Kansas City. How long you been on the job now?
A little over 6 years.
And what does that look like for your day in a life? Because I know there's a lot of people that listen to this that are either firefighters themselves from different departments. There are people that watch this who are kids who are trying to aspire to be firefighters, and then kids that watch this that want to be firefighters. What does that look like for a day?
The normal day is we do 24 hours on, 48 hours off. So we start every morning at the first day one. You show up at work at 7 a.m. We always show up an hour early because early is on time is late is dead because Hilo doesn't wait. So we show up at 6, work starts at 7, and then we get off the following 7 o'clock in the morning. And we're off for 48 hours starting at that 7 o'clock in the morning, start it all over again. But the normal day when we get there, have a cup of coffee, figure out the crew that's coming off, tells us kind of what they did, how the rig is, what's going on in the city, just whatever that pass down needs to look like. Well, we get our cup of coffee, kind of wake up in the morning, talk to everyone, figure out who's on the rig today and where everyone's going. As soon as 7 o'clock hits, we start checking out the rig, making sure if we're on a truck, our saws work, on the pumper, our waterworks pump, make sure we got our EMS gear, our bags together, and then make sure I got my air pack, mask is working, got all my gloves and everything I need to actually do the job for that day. So we check out all that. Once we do that, second most important thing is start cleaning the house. Well, someone's cleaning the house, we're mopping, cleaning toilets, trying to figure out what's going on. Well, the captains and everyone else comes up with a plan for the day, any training we might do, find out if we have training to do. And then second most important thing is we got to figure out what we're going to eat for the day. So we put in for shack. Our shack is $20, and it's all you can eat all day for whatever lunch we're cooking, whatever dinner we're cooking, snacks, desserts, and everything in between. So that's a must for the day. We got some good cooks at our station and on my shift.
I find that super fascinating. I found that really, really fascinating because that's one thing that we don't do in the teams is that we don't cook every day with each other, so you break bread with each other, but you also cook the food with each other and you guys plan it out for your 24 hours where it's literally your family, your home, away from your family. And I think that's really cool because that certainly builds that bond, that brotherhood, sisterhood, because you got everybody in a firehouse now. And I think that's a really cool thing.
It's, and the old guys have passed it down. We have a lot of good traditions, especially in the fire department, long history of service, especially in Kansas City. And they pass it down. I mean, we're a third of our life is going to be with these guys every third day. So it's a family. We sit down, we want to eat together. We want to know how everyone's family's doing. What do they have going on? You got any issues that people need help with? It feels like every firefighter has a second job, whether it's doing plumbing, HVAC, roofing, building decks, whatever it might be. Everyone does something on the side. So everyone kind of helps everyone out. All right, everyone's always looking out. It's real tight knit, which is exactly what I wanted coming out of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't essentially leave the teams, you just join a different team, another team.
Just join a different one.
That's cool, man. That's real cool. I mean, I know quite a few SEALs that have gotten out and become firefighters around the country. So it's definitely, I mean, I get to work with firefighters every day, through Sons of the Flag and what we do. So I get to just sit on the sidelines and watch y'all, but that's pretty cool, man. So for people listening, so walk us through what it would look like. Say I want to join the fire service. And I know that Kansas City is different from other organizations, but in general, I'm getting out of high school, I'm getting out of college, I've got some certs or I don't have any certs. What does it look like for me to actually become a firefighter?
So to actually become a firefighter, the main thing you need to do is you need to get your EMT. You need to get, which is a kind of a short course, but you can do that over. They have condensed versions, they have long versions, whatever you have time for. A lot of kids actually get it in high school too. And then you need to get your fire 1 and 2 with your hazmat operations. There are some departments that will pay for them, but most of the time they want you to show the initiative by going out, going to these courses, paying for them, and you make a lot of connections doing it too. Your fire 1 and 2 is really fun and it focuses on your firefighting. Your EMT focuses on your medical, which most cities do at this time. So it gets your foot in the door. If you want to get hired by anywhere in the country right now, you become a paramedic or a firefighter paramedic. You could write your own check anywhere in the entire country right now. There's such a huge shortage of that. But if you get those credentials, take your tests. Every state has a little bit different of a test, but a lot of them will acknowledge or see other states. And then you just keep flowing from there. And they say, I know in California, I think the average is 5 years. I know it's shorter in other places. The average is 5 years to be able to get a full-time position. There's volunteer gigs that you can do. You can work on an ambulance to get in the fire door. I mean, you can work in dispatch if you need to. You can work in like medical restocking or supply restocking in these cities. And a good way to get in the door and really just meet people. It's definitely a business of who you know and preparing yourself to have all the right credentials to meet that right person. Be like, hey, I'm ready to work, is really the gist of it. I mean, I know that, yeah, a lot of people in high school can get their EMT and fire 1 and 2. A lot of community colleges offer them. A lot of small departments will offer it too.
Okay. So you jump in the door once you've actually been selected and you've gone through their course. And now you're officially a Kansas City firefighter or a firefighter for any city. At that point, now it's just learning the job, showing up every day and doing your best. And then there's time for promotions, and then you go after those promotions within reason. You know, obviously the whole real deal for any operator is you want to stay at a certain position for a longer period of time to actually do the job before you make a rank where you don't necessarily do the job and you're more administrative. That's a whole nother topic for another time. But that's an interesting look into what it takes to become. I know you're laughing right now because you totally, as you're smiling like, I'm still an E1.
Dude, it feels like it's almost like when you're in the teams, get on the fire department, you're a new guy to someone.
Yeah.
Any and everyone. I feel like I'm always a new guy to someone. But even there, like being a new guy in the fire department is almost exactly like the teams. You take out the trash. You show up, make sure everything's working before everyone. You clean everything before everyone. Because you're always the low guy to someone. I mean, we have guys with 20 years on we call them subs or probies or whatever you want to call them. We call them subs in Kansas City. You're a new guy to a guy with 22 years. So if you're the youngest person, no matter what, you're cleaning toilets, taking out trash, just like you're a new guy in the teams. It's funny.
That's interesting. Well, to that point, why don't you tell us, give me your favorite story, your best day on the job. What does that look like?
Oh, man. I mean, so being in the inner city, we get a lot of really interesting calls. We get we get a lot of gunshots. We get a lot of overdoses, which is really sad. I mean, it's all normally sad. And then we get house fires, quite a bit of house fires that we're a very aggressive fire department. And there's nothing like the adrenaline of rolling up to a house. You see smoke rolling out windows, everything. You're showing up, you're first on scene, and you just see this just chaos ensuing, and your adrenaline's up, start pulling hose, going in there, and it's getting hot. You're looking for everyone, looking for the fire. I mean, it's almost like that rush of skydiving, like that anticipation, like as soon as the door opens, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. Getting towards the door, all that heat starts coming out. That adrenaline starts hitting and it pumps, and it's an absolute blast to go in there and just fight the beast, put out the fire. There's nothing like it. It's an adrenaline junkie's job for sure.
That's all. Well, so you're so damn humble, and since I've known you, you've been a humble guy. So you're probably not going to tell a story of, your favorite day or making a grab or doing something really, really cool or heroic. So why don't you go ahead and give us one of the funny pranks or something you've done or any of your guys have done to each other that's just one for the books?
Man, the pranks never stop on the job. We have a Scary Jerry, a mannequin that flies around the station. He sometimes has a mask on, sometimes he doesn't. He'll end up in random spots. You find him behind a lot of doors. going into showers, you go into your shower room or whatever, you open that curtain, you might see Scary Jerry there. You never know. There's a couple times we have a Chiefs buggy in there, which is just a red SUV. And our chief, we're very lucky to have him in there. Great chief. So every once in a while, I'll throw him in the back. So when he looks in the rearview mirror, him and the DSO, the captain, when they get in their car, they'll look in the back, and all of a sudden all they'll do is see that face when they go to back up. I love doing that to them. I love throwing Scary Jerry around places. We've had some good ones, throwing water pots, water balloons on each other. There may or may not be a lot of fireworks to roam around the fire station. Yeah. And there's a couple guys that I swear they're like, I don't know if you're a SEAL or not, a former SEAL. I'm going to try and blow you up and see how you react. I'm like, bring it. It's a good time. I love explosions.
That is awesome. Yeah. So kind of for everybody to hear. So when I had first started working with Kansas City Fire Department, I was working with a team leader for Sons of the Flag Guard charity, and he had gotten word to me that Andy was out there and that he was a SEAL. And so, of course, we didn't get to meet that specific time, but it was so low key. And most of the firefighters are like, yeah, I know who Andy is, but I didn't know he was a SEAL. And so just, that was a really cool thing to hear that you got the job based off of going through the program the way it was supposed to, and, you know, not utilizing that to say, okay, I can do this. But now you're fully exposed, because when we started to talk, we got him fully involved with everything that we do, the madness and chaos of Sons of the Flag and Bird's Eye View. And I really wanted to bring you on the show, and I really wanted to talk about Kansas City Fire Department because we have done events, or an event with Kansas City, and it was a nationally televised badass event. And you and your chief jumped on board and helped us really open the doors to Kansas City and get this thing working. And so that was really impressive. Plus, this is a nice taste too, because we have business owners on this. We have people who have written books or authored books, public speakers, somebody who's selling products, to people who have founded charities or are part of charities. And so this was a nice twist to show somebody who has continued their service after being in the military, especially the fire service. It's near and dear to my heart because my grandfather was a Detroit firefighter from 1946 to 76, and one of the hardest men I've ever met in my life. And he always talked about his fire service over his military service. I'm like, dude, I get it. You love your fire service, but I want to know more about World War II because you don't talk about it. He's like, yeah, and he just look at you like that. So it's really awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you coming on and sharing just a little bit of your experience getting into the fire service. And I appreciate you choosing to sign up to support our families, you know, because you protected us overseas. Now you're protecting us in CONUS. It's never going to end with you, my man. So I'm grateful for your time, and I'm just grateful for your friendship.
Thank you, my man. It's always good to talk to you, brother.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to put up Andy's handles at the end of this so you can get in touch with him. You can follow him on his Instagram, social media. But also we're going to put a link to how you actually get into the Kansas City Fire Department should you be interested in looking, because they can't use good enough guys or men and women to join the fire service. So, you know, we're going to put that up, and you can follow the path that Andy has followed. So rock and roll, brother. We'll be talking soon.
All right, brother.
All right. You be well.
You too, brother.
Yeah, man. Later.